Now, we have already discussed how to create a HTML page. You guys also have seen how we have created an HTML page. Okay, so I have given a basic idea for you. So any website you open, now, that is a HTML page only. Any website you open, if you just right click, inspect, that is one of the way you can go to the inspector of that particular web page. That means the HTML definition of that web page. Or else what you can do, you can press F12. Either of the way you can do. That will also open. Either you can press F12 or you can right click and inspect. That will open the inspector, which is basically the HTML definition of that web page. And to get the particular web element HTML definition, what I have to do, I have to click this icon and hover over it. So it will show the particular web element definition for that. Okay. Now, when talking about XPath, there are two types of XPath. One is absolute XPath, one is relative XPath. So what is absolute XPath? Absolute XPath is if let's say there is a, let's say I am asking who is Ankit. Let's say I'm asking someone who is Ankit. Now, let's say he explains me that he is the, let's say X is son of Y, Z is son of X, and Ankit is son of X. So if I'm following the complete family tree while explaining, then that is absolute XPath. But what is relative XPath? If I say, okay, the man who stays in the house number 19 and works in this company is Ankit. So that is relative XPath. That means when I identify a particular web element from its root, I'll come from its root, then to its parents, then to its parent, then to its parent, then to itself, then that will be called as absolute XPath. I'll follow the family chain. But if I use the property of that particular web element, here in the second case, I use the property of Ankit, that he is working in this company and he is staying in this house. That is the property of Ankit I am using. So that is relative XPath. But if I tell X is son of Y, Z is son of X, and Ankit is son of Z, then that is absolute XPath I'm using. That means I'm following the root of the family tree. That is absolute XPath. So there are two kind of XPath. This is for interview purpose, I'm telling. They'll ask you what are the different kind of XPaths. Okay. Now, let's say for this only.
One question. Relative XPath, we can use only the properties of that particular.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I'll show you for a particular web element only. I'll show you how to write the relative XPath, how to write the absolute XPath, and in real time which XPath we'll be using and why. Okay. Everything I'll show you. Rather than using this one, I'll just use the one which I have created. So that will be little easier for you to understand. So let me open HTML. Okay. Let's say I want to write the XPath of this one. First one only will take. So we'll write the absolute XPath. Okay. So to write this XPath, I have to, what I told you, I'll be starting from the root, and from the root, I'll come to its parents, to its child, to its child, to its child, and to that particular web element. If I want to write the absolute XPath, what I have to do? I have to do, see, you have to do Control F for writing the XPath. But remember, you have to do only when you have hovered here something. If you have not hovered here something and do Control F, so this find will open. Remember it. If you have not hovered anything here in this inspection page and do Control F, this will hover. But here you will not write XPath. So what you will do, you will hover anything, you hover over it, do Control F. Now this will open. This is the place where you will be writing the XPath or the CSS locator, anything. So always remember, before doing Control F, you have to hover anything there. Then only it will open the particular find the search where you can write the CSS locator or the XPath, or else it will just show open the normal search. Okay. Now, To write the XPath, the basic thing is I have to use double backslash. Double backslash is the basic thing I'll be using to write XPath. Okay. Now I told I'll start from the root. So I'll start from root HTML. Then I have to come to its child, that is body. Body. Then from its child, I have to come again its child, that is L. Again from there, I will come to this input. Again, I'll come to its child P. Then I'll come to input. Correct? P. Then I'll come to input. What happened? P. Okay, no. P is not the parent. So inside L, I have two child, that is P and input. So after L, I'll come to input. So this one is identifying which one? This one now. I'm also getting 1 of 1. That means it is uniquely identifying my web element. Which web element? This web element, if I hover over it, it is also hovering in the left side, this one. So I'm uniquely identifying that. So this is my absolute XPath. What I did, I started from the root and one parent, I came down to the family tree and I identified that. So let's store it somewhere. So I store it here. I've written absolute XPath. So this is I've written the absolute XPath for that. Then next I'll be writing the what? Relative XPath. Okay. You are getting, Ankit, you are also getting, right?
Yes.
Okay. So to write the relative XPath, what I'll do, what I told, I'll directly use its property. Now, again, same XPath will start from double backslash. Then I'll use the tag name. What is the tag name here? Input. Then I will try to use something which is unique here. Let's say I use this one, this attribute. Okay. So if you are using an attribute, what you have to do, right? @attribute is equal to then the attribute value. What is the attribute value? Shunil. Now see 1 of 1. So this XPath is relative XPath. I'm not using the parent now. I'm directly using its own property. This Ankit is equal to Shunil. That is the attribute for this web element and have value Shunil. So I am directly using its own property rather than referring to its parent. So this is called as relative XPath. Understood?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is now relative XPath. Now question comes, which one will be using in real time and why? Okay. So I have two XPath. In two ways I can write. One is absolute XPath, one is relative XPath. Now comes the question, which XPath I'll be using in real time? I'll be using relative XPath. Now you may ask me why. Okay, why? Because if I make a change to the HTML page, if I make a change to the HTML page and I introduced one more parent to this, let's say the developer wants to change the design of the HTML page and insert one more parent for this. Let's do that also, you'll see. Let's say for this, I insert one more parent. That means now it will have one more parent now. Let me keep it inside O and make one more parent for it. Show. Now just refresh. Okay. Now see, the relative, even though I introduced a parent for it, okay. One more parent I introduced for it, but still you see the relative XPath is working. It is still identifying 1 of 1 and it is hovering over that. Even though one more parent is introduced for it. Now it is the child of O. But let me use the same absolute XPath which I had written earlier and try to identify. With relative you saw the same old relative XPath is working. let's try with the same old absolute XPath. Is it identifying? No, it is
No.
not identifying. It is 0 of 0. Why? Because the family chain now changed. Now it has one more parent associated with it. So if I have to use the XPath again, I have to change it and write here O. Then only it will identify now. Sure. Then only it will identify. See, that means I have to modify. I have to maintain the XPath. So in real time, who is going to do all this activity? This hectic activity. So it's better to use relative XPath. Even though the parent chain or the child chain changes, the relative XPath is working. So in real time, we will be going with relative XPath, and in industry also you'll be using relative XPath. Clear?
Yes.
Why
Yeah.
relative
Maybe
XPath is used?
yeah, and like
Sorry?
maybe like there is like another benefit of relative XPath can be when there is a uh, long XPath you have to write. Like if you use the
Ah, yes. Correct.
absolute, you have to like write long XPath, but
Yes,
relative
correct,
will be
correct.
like shorter and faster.
Correct, correct, correct. Yeah, that is also one of the uses, because here just I have three parent. Let's say if I had 100 parent, if I write that means how long will be the XPath. But relative is if any part 100 parent, even it have three parents, same length will be there. So that is also one of the use of which advantage of relative XPath over absolute XPath. Clear?
Yep.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
So this is very basic XPath we have written here. Okay, so this is very expert. That means whenever you get very easily a attribute, unique attribute and a unique attribute value, then just use this expert. Very simple expert. This is the, you can say starting with expert. If you are starting with expert, you will write this type of expert. In which simple double backslash, tag name, square bracket start, at the rate, which attribute you think is unique, which attribute and attribute value is unique you think, that means this is not repeated in any other web element. Use that at the rate Ankit is equal to Sunil. So it will identify one of one. This is very simple scenario in which you have a unique thing. You have a unique attribute associated with it. So you directly write it. You are getting one of one here. Always remember you have to check that you get one of one here. Even you get one of two means that is not unique. Clear?
Yeah.
Now, we will be going through different cases. Okay, in which scenario, which case we'll be using. Now, it will depend on you that which scenario you combine. You may combine two scenario, you may combine three scenario, you may combine four scenario. It's at the end ultimately up to your intelligence and up to your practice how you have to write an XPath. We can give you scenarios. I can teach you scenarios, what is the scenario present, but which scenario, uh, combining with which scenario you'll be using to write that XPath that it will uniquely identify, that's completely depends on you. Okay. Now, let's say I have something like this. Case number one. We'll go for case number one. Okay. Case one is when we don't have, let me create that scenario, then only you can understand. Let's say this one is there, this folder username, it username, class is this one. Is this one, class is present. Then pick this one, this one. ID is equal to class is present. Okay. Now, let's say if I refresh this. Now let's say if I want to identify this one. Okay, if I want to identify this one, tell me how I'll write the XPath. Can I write input is the input tag? Tell me which one I'll use here that it will uniquely identify. Can I use placeholder? No, because I'll get two match. Here also I have placeholder username. Here also I have placeholder username. If can I use class? No, because here
No,
also I have class into WA. Here also I have class into
ID should
WA.
be used
Can
here.
I use ID? No,
Yes.
ID also I
Yes.
cannot use. No, ID cannot also I use because ID
Okay,
W
so
here.
it's common for
Here
the other
also
types. Yeah.
ID is equal to W here. So
Oh,
here also I'm getting. So how can I write the XPath in this
okay.
scenario? Because I'm getting match for all the attributes. But here one thing you notice, if I combine class is equal to this one and ID is equal to this one, is
Yep.
this combination present anywhere? No. This is
That's
unique.
No.
unique.
So what I can do, I have to use now this both combination to uniquely identify that. So in that scenario,
Okay.
how I'll write that XPath? So what I can do is I can write @class is equal to ETOWI. Then as I will be using both, so I'll use and
Oh,
@ID is equal to W here. Now see what. So if my single thing is not unique, but the combination of two is unique, then I can use the combination of two.
okay.
Clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, next scenario. This is case one. We'll go for case two now. Case one completed. We used and operator.
Then
Okay.
and operator. Yeah.
Case two. Case two is, so let's say I have a scenario in which, let me copy this thing only. Exactly the same. Whatever I have there, exactly the same I have here. Okay. So then what I can do, ID is equal to now just refresh the page. Now see, I want to identify this one. Okay, I want to identify this one, but what is happening here? I want to identify that one, but here everything is same. I have a exactly similar wave element with all the attribute and attribute value are same. But what is unique here? Just see. Try to tell me what is unique here. Something is unique here. Are you able to identify?
ID. ID.
No, nothing. For itself,
As
there is nothing unique. But its immediate parent. But its
Right.
immediate parent is unique. Its immediate parent is different. Its immediate parent is different. So in
oh,
that scenario, what I can do,
Absolute.
as I don't have anything uh, common with me, so I
Absolute
will first
expert.
identify. This will not be absolute. Absolute means you have start from the root. If you start from
Okay.
HTML, that is absolute. Here, I see I don't have anything unique with some other guy, but my parent is unique and his parent is unique. So what I'll do, first I'll identify the parent, and from the parent I'll identify the child.
okay. Mm.
So what I'll do, first I'll identify this one. So what I will do, first I'll be writing the XPath for the parent. So to write the XPath for the parent, O @ID is equal to 1. Now I see one of one I'm getting for the parent. I'm uniquely identifying the parent. Now to go from parent to child, what I have to do, I have to give a single backslash, then input. So I'll go from parent to now see one of one, and it is also identifying that particular web element. Okay. So when I don't have unique, anything in me and my parent is unique, what I'll do, I'll first identify the parent, and from the parent, I'll identify myself. And to go from parent to child, I have to give a single backslash. Clear? Got it?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is one of the scenario. Then the next scenario.
So
Case
here,
3.
don't we need to give that any class or ID name along with the child that input?
No, no, no. When you will give the class of unique name, I'll tell you when. Good question. You told me why I'm not using any ID attribute or any
Yes.
attribute here, right? Why
Yeah.
I'm not using is because I have only one child here, right? Only one child input
Mhm.
is there. So I'm not using it. If I would have multiple child, let's say I'll show that scenario to you also. Let's say exactly same one thing I'll have here. Now I refresh it. Now see. Now it will not work. Now I'm getting two of match. Because that time I just have one parent with input tag. So that was working even though I didn't give any attribute. But now I am having two child with input tag. So here I have to specify which attribute input tag. Then I'll give the attribute. Because here I'm not getting one match. I'm getting two matches. Understood? So
Okay.
here what I'll do, I'll give this at the rate of I'm telling it from the two child, I want the child whose class is having this value. Simple. Then I have to keep it. Now I got one first. Understood?
Yes.
Which scenario will give? Yeah. So now go for case 3. So case 2 was parent to child. Now case 3 is using the visible text. Text, we'll see that. So what is visible text? We have already discussed. Tell me, what is visible text?
Yeah,
This is
which
the
can
visible
be
text.
yeah.
Which one we are able to see in the UI and which is written in between the input tag and the means opening tag and the closing tag. Okay.
Yes.
Let's say I want to identify this one. Okay. This select your country is there, right? I want to identify this one. Okay, so here I don't have any attribute, I don't have any unique parent, nothing, but I have a visible text. So using this visible text, I can uniquely identify that. So for that, what I'll do, I'll write a Xpath n text is equal to select your country. Now if we write that, see one of one, and it is identifying that web element. That means here, if I have a unique visible text using that also I can identify the XPath or I can write the XPath. So for that, what is the syntax? Double backslash tag name text parenthesis is equal to the text visible text which is present. That is select your country. Clear? So this is case
Yes.
number 3. Case number 3 is using the visible text, using the unique visible text. Okay. Now, case 4. Contents, using contents keyword. Okay. Now see. Press the page. You are understanding, right? What we are discussing?
Yes.
guys?
Yes.
Now, let's say I have a scenario in which my part of the text is unique. I'll show that with order. Order 453. What is that order? Yeah. Now see, I let's say here the visible text is unique, but only thing is that if I place a order 453 and if I place the next order, it will become order 454. If I place the next order, it will become order 455, like that. It will go on increasing. That was a part of the text. That is, order ID is static. It is always same and it's constant. But part of the text, second part of the text, it is dynamic. It will keep on changing. But I have only the visible text unique here. Okay. Or you can say the attribute also. It will apply for both unique visible text as well as attribute. Let's say I make the attribute value also same. I'll also make the attribute value the same only. So either means you identified either an attribute or the text. For writing Xpath, you need either the attribute to be unique or the text to be unique. Okay, so here you got one wave element in which the attribute is unique or the text is also unique, but only now difficulty is that part of the text is dynamic. It will keep on changing. The value will keep on changing. If I write a XPath with this value, if it becomes 454, that XPath will not work. Again, I have to change it. Yes or no? So
Yes.
in this scenario, when part of the text is static and part of the text is dynamic, then we can use the contents function. Okay. So how to use that content function? Let's see. So to use the content function, what I have to do? Let's say first go with the visual text, then I'll show with the attribute. You can use it with both visible text as well as attribute. Okay, so let's go with the visible text first. So in contents text, comma, order items. See, here I didn't give the complete value. I just gave the part of the value which is static. That is order ID. See, using contents function. So for which I am giving text, I am giving. So the first argument will be text and the part of the text which is static. So in this way, I can use the content function where part of the text is static. Understood? This one? Yes or no?
No, I didn't get fully.
Yeah. Now see, here I know my visible text is unique, but out in the visible text, part of the text is static, that is order ID, and this part 453 is dynamic. It may be 454, it may be 455. If I write using 453 now, if it become 454, that XPath will not work.
Yes,
So
correct.
I'll use only order ID to write the XPath. Yes or no?
Yes.
Sure. In that scenario, what I'll do, I'll use this content
Yes.
function. I'll use this content function and I'll pass text, whichever. For text I'm writing, right? For visual text I'm writing. So I'll pass text as first argument, comma, second argument is the part of the text which is static. That's it. So always it will identify, although it is 454 or 455, doesn't matter. Clear?
Yes.
So contains, we can use only the text only, not any numbers or anything
No.
like that.
No, you can, whichever is static, use that. Whichever is dynamic, don't use that. Simple. This is order ID is always static for me. So I'm using that.
Okay.
Okay. Now, same I can do for this also. Attribute also. I did it for text. I can do the same for attribute also. If my attribute is unique, but part of the attribute value is static and part of the attribute value is unique, dynamic. So what I can do, if I use attribute, Instead of text, I'm using attribute. So if I am using attribute, what is the syntax? @attribute. So I give @ID. Same order ID is static, so I'm giving order ID. So 1 of 1. Again, same it is working. That's it. So if you give text, you use text inside the contents. If you are using attribute, you use @attribute. That's it. Clear? Understood? Contents function? Yes or no?
Instead of value, we are using that particular ID, right?
See, forget ID, attribute. If you are using attribute, then you
Right.
normally if you attribute, what do we have to give? @attribute is called attribute value. So using @attribute. If I'm using text, then I'll use instead of @ID, I'll write text.
Got
That's
it.
it. Ankit, you got it?
Yeah.
So this was using contents function. Okay. Now some of the Xpath functions we'll see. Xpath functions now we'll see. Okay. Xpath functions. Now, the first is normalize space. The first function is normalize space. So when we'll be using normalize space? Let's say I have a value here, order ID, same only. And I have some spaces before and after. Here also I have some spaces before. And if I have some spaces after. Okay. And now it is not ordered for just the static test details. No need of dynamic value, just it has the static test. Let me refresh that. Now, in which scenario we'll be using normalized space? Now see, here I have order ID, here I have text and attribute with attribute value, but it is having spaces before and after it. It is having spaces before and after it. This also is having spaces before and after it. Let's say if I want to write the XPath for this, what I'll do? If I'm using, let's say, this attribute first. So if I write XPath, but normally it should be double backslash a @ID is equal to order ID with no spaces, because till now we don't have spaces. So usually what we'll write? We'll write with no spaces, right? Like this we are writing. But as it has space, that also you have to give it while writing. If you don't give the space, it will not see. It is getting 0 of 0. But the moment I give the exact spaces which are present before and after, it is getting 1 of 1. Yes or no?
Yes.
That means you have to give, it will take the space into consideration also. If you are writing using attribute value, same goes for your this also. If I am using text also, I have to give the exact spaces which are present before and after it. Let's try with text also. Let me remove the spaces and try first text. Let's see, is it working? See, it is not working. But the moment I copy the exact spaces which is present and give it, now 1 of 1. So for text and attribute, if the value contains spaces, you have to give those spaces also while writing the XPath, or else it will not identify. And that should be exactly the number of spaces which are present before and after that. If you gave one little, one less space or one extra space, that will not work. Exactly the same space should be there. That means here, if let's say I remove one space after, then also it will not work. Exactly the same number of spaces should be there. But in real time, will you write a XPath with having spaces? No, it will not look good. And also, here you are having 2-3 spaces, so you are copying and writing it. Let's say there will be 100 spaces before and after that. If you write the XPath with those 200 spaces and copy it in the code, how long will be the XPath? It is not feasible to use it real time, right? So to overcome that, we have a function, same for text also, then for attribute also. To overcome that scenario, we have a function called normalize space. Okay. So normalize space. Now see, I'm getting one of one. Although I'm not given any spaces before and after, I just use normalize space. I'm telling that text, this one, visible text, is this value. So what it will do, it will remove the extra spaces which is present before and after, but not inside it. That means if let's say, if I have a space between it, inside it, this space will not be removed. This will be as it is. Only which is present before and after the text, that will be removed. Now you'll see, if I refresh the page, it will not work because it will not remove the spaces. Now see, there is no result because it will not consider the spaces which is inside the text. Yeah, see. Now what happened? It didn't omit the spaces which is present in between the text. It only omit the spaces which is present before and after the text. Clear?
Yes.
Normally, same goes for your this thing also. Same goes for your ID if you're using attribute also. So let's say I use here also in a ID attribute I have spaces before and after. So what I can do, I can give @ID @ID is equal to, as there is no spaces in between them, so I'll give alternative. See. So this is working. So if you have spaces before and after the value, just use normalize space, it will remove those spaces. Clear? Next.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Xpath function, one is normalize space, which is studied. Normalize space. Then next is your following sibling and preceding sibling. Following sibling. Okay. Preceding sibling. And ancestor, descendant, parent. Okay, so now we'll go with following sibling. So what is following sibling? Okay. Now, there are two child here, right? We have identified here, there are two child here. These two are sibling. Sibling is what? Brother and sister, we said sibling, right? So, if I have siblings, so one will be following sibling, one is will be preceding sibling. So how to identify that? So the one which follows, that means this input is the following sibling of this one. And this input is the preceding sibling of this one. Which come next is the following one, which come before is the preceding. Clear? Yes or no? The one
Can
which
you
come
repeat
next.
one more time?
See, this input is following sibling of this input because it is present next, or you can say down. But this input is the preceding sibling of this input. Just remember which is present below, immediate below. Which is present immediate below is following sibling. Which is present immediate back is, immediate top you can say, is preceding sibling. And then needs to be sibling. You cannot say this is the preceding parent. No. Only siblings. That means they all should be siblings. These two are siblings. Why? Because these two are child of O. O is the parent for both of them. So these two are siblings. Yes or no?
Yes.
Sarana, clear? Yeah.
Yeah, clear.
So if someone is present, some sibling is present after me or in the below, in the HTML page, you'll see the below. Sorry? You'll see the, yeah. If you see some siblings which are present below or after me, then that are called following sibling. If some sibling are present at the top or before me, that are preceding sibling. Got it?
Yeah.
Understood what is preceding, what is following sibling?
Yes.
So we'll see one scenarios where we can use them. Okay. Let's say something like this. Here I can. So let's say my parent is not unique. I am not unique, but my previous sibling, my preceding sibling is unique. Yeah, okay, let's say I want to identify this one. I want to identify this one. For this, it is not unique. It's let's say the in scenario don't get anything unique, but it's just the previous sibling. This one is unique. Okay, just the previous sibling is unique. So what I can do, I can first identify this one. Then using that, I'll identify this one. So how to do that? Let's see. First, I'll identify this one. So to identify this one, what I have to do? Import
Input at
the rate class
ID.
is equal to. Here I have
Yes.
everything unique. ID is also unique. Class is also unique. So I can use any one. That's
Okay.
okay. So I'm getting one number for this. So using this, I will identify the following sibling. Means I'll identify this one. Okay. So I'll identify this one. So for to do that, what I'll do, I'll write this following sibling, then input. So as it has two following siblings, so I'm getting one of two because these two are the following sibling of this one. That's why I'm getting two here, one of two.
Yep.
Because these two are following sibling. If I want to identify a single one, then I can use its attribute to identify that. Let's say if I want to identify this one, then I'll say ID is unique here. So I can do @ID is equal to W here. Now see one of one. If I want to identify this, then I can use @ID is equal to Sunil. Then it would have identified this one. So if you want to identify someone with its previous sibling, then you can do like this. You first need to identify that one, then you can come to this following siblings to identify them. Understood? Ankit, Saranya?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, the preceding sibling is just the reverse. That means here I am identifying the following sibling. Let's say I want to identify the preceding sibling. It is not unique. First I'll identify this, then I'll identify this. So, just what I have to do, I'll remove this one. Instead of following, I'll make it preceding. Same. Now you see one of one, it is identifying this. Clear?
Yep.
Now, let's say I have two web elements. So, now see, I identify this, using this I'm identifying, but these two are having everything same. So how I'll identify? So for that you have to give a square bracket, you have to give one. If you give one means it will identify the first preceding sibling. If you give two means it will identify the second preceding sibling like this. If you don't have any attribute or if you don't have anything which is unique in siblings also, then you can use this one. Square bracket 1, 2, 3 like this you can use. So whichever number you give, if you give preceding sibling 1 means it will identify this. If you give preceding sibling 2 means it will identify this. Same goes for following sibling. If you give 1 means it will identify this. If you give 2 means it will identify this. Clear?
Okay. If you put 3 and if there is no third preceding
It will not
previous,
identify. It will not identify
okay,
anything because it is nothing. Is it 0
previous
0?
0 0. Okay.
Clear?
Yes.
Ankit, Saranya?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So this two we covered. Following and preceding. Now ancestor. In which scenario will use ancestor? Let you see that. So for that I'll be creating this one. Is equal to 3. Setting the share multiple one. So in which scenario I'll be using ancestor? Okay. So it went do one more thing. Let's say, see this scenario. In this scenario, what you are seeing? Let's say I want to identify this one. PID is equal to 3. But I see there is one more PID is equal to 3 and there is nothing unique here. There is nothing unique here. Its parent is not unique and don't have any unique attribute. You cannot identify. But what I see is that somewhere in my son to son to son here, let's say it is the grand to grandson. Okay, that's okay. In real time also, if you see, I don't have anything unit, but somewhere in the down the line, one of my grand to grandson, I don't know what is its number. It may be 100th grandson, it may be 2000 grandson, doesn't matter. But I have one grandson which is unique. Except that I have nothing unique in me. I don't find anything unique. Not my brothers or siblings are unique, not my parents are unique. Neither I have anything unique, nor my, even I'll say my till 200, let's say all my uh, grand chain is also not unique. But the 200th one is unique. 200th one grandson is unique. Here also, its child is not unique. Here also I'm getting same. Its child is also not unique, but its child is unique. I'm saying here it is 6, here it is 7. Somewhere down the line, here I have given you 3 chains. In real time, maybe you are having 200 or 1000 chains also. Doesn't matter. Okay. But somewhere in the chain, the grandchild is unique. One of the grandchild. I don't know its number is 200 or its number is 100th grandchild or its number is 1 lakh grandchild. Doesn't matter. But for showing purpose, I'm showing you for 2 1. But in real time, it may be 200 also. So what I can do, somehow I have to identify this grandchild. Using that, I have to identify myself. But if what I do, if I just write absolute one, if it is 200, it will be very long. It's not
Yes.
possible. So to overcome that, we'll be seeing now. So let me first identify this grandchild. X text is equal to what happened? X okay. Okay, you have spaces here. So I told you if you have spaces, just use that. Or else it will not work. See, I identify that one. Okay, I'll expand this one also. So I identify the one grandchild which is unique, which is present At some level, I don't know. It may be 1,000, it may be lakhs, it may be in hundreds also. So using that, I'll identify this P. But I don't know how many steps I have to climb to reach to my grandparents. So in that scenario, what I can do, I can use the word ancestor. Ancestor, then give the tag name of that P. Now you see, it identifies that particular web element. I don't know my ancestor is present at what level, but just using one keyword, I overshadowed how many parents are there. Even it is at the 100th level, it will identify. Even it is at the lakh level also, it will identify. Even it is the 1,000 level also, it will identify. Understood? Use of ancestor
Yes.
keyword. Saranya, clear? Yes or no? Well,
Yes.
why your yes looks like confusion? Understood, right? Just
I understood.
simple. Yeah, just
Mm-mm.
simple. You have a grandchild. You don't know at which number grandchild is that. Okay. So you identified that. And to reach you, to overcome how many line it is there, doesn't matter how many parent is there, just write ancestor and give the tag name of that particular grandparent which you want to identify. That's it, simple. Now descendant is just the reverse.
Yeah, I was thinking that it was a situation.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
Descendant is just the reverse. That means here what I'll do, here let's say I'll make this one unique. PID is equal to 3. I'll make it, let's say 3 RT. This I'll make 3 PRF. So I'm making this unique, but this X, it will have same thing. So now what happened is, in this scenario, what happened? Somewhere I am not unique, but somewhere my grandparent, that also not immediate grandparent, that may be at the 1,000 level or to the lakhs level, I don't know. Somewhere my grandparent is unique. So what I'll do, I'll first identify that grandparent, and from there I'll identify myself. So for that, what I'll do, I'll just identify this one first. So now see, I identify the grandparent. Now I don't know how many. See, normally if I would have written absolute Xpath means I would have done this Y, then I would have done Z, then I would have done X. Okay. So if I do like this means, then I have come here X. So I would have written absolute Xpath. So it would have come to X here. One by one, I have to come down like this, right? If I write
Yep.
normally, following the absolute method. But in real time, if it is 1,000 parents or lakhs parent, I cannot write it. So to overcome this, what I can do, I can just use one thing, that is descendant X. Okay, descendant X. Now you see, using this descendant keyword, I just omitted a long chains of parent which would have written normally. If I were to come by normal that child to parent scenario.
Yep.
Just the reverse of ancestor. That's it.
Okay.
Got it? Now, feeling this is easy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So next is parent, where you'll be using parent keyword. Okay. So let's say just I have shown you one scenario, right? Where your parent is unique and you are coming from your parent to child. I have shown you one scenario, right? In case number 2, I have shown you. Just the reverse case, where child is unique and I want to identify the immediate parent. Here you are identifying the immediate child. Same here. I want to identify the immediate parent. Okay. Let's say here my child is unique and from this child I just want to identify this. You can use only for the immediate parent. Others you have, if you are skipping parents and child, you have to use ancestor and descendant. Let's say if I want to identify just the immediate parent, then what I can do is, see, I'll show you what I have to do. Where is that? There. Now see. Just I'll identify this and I'll identify the immediate parent. So what I can do, x text is equal to this one. Then I'll go to the immediate parent. That is parent. Then I'll go to Z. See, I identify the child and I want to identify the immediate parent. Then I'll give backslash parent double colon Z. That's it. So this you have to use when you want to identify the immediate parent. Then only it will work. Clear?
Yeah.
This keyword you can use parent. Now, next is table. This is a tricky one. Table we have understood, right? In the last class, what is a table? Now, in real time, there can be two types of table. One is static table, one is dynamic table. Okay, there can be two types of table. One is static table and one is dynamic table. Let's say this table. There's a table, this one. This can be a static table because every time, what is, first understand what is a static table and what is a dynamic table. If your number of rows and columns are remaining constant, then that is a static table. If your number of rows and columns are changing, that is dynamic table. So let's say there is a table which show me the version number, release date and developer. Always the number of rows and column will be same here. Only what can change? The version number can change from 2.1.20 to 2.1.21, or the release date can change from this date to some other date, or the developer name can change that this developer and some more developer added, so it can change. But the number of rows and column, that will never change.
Okay. Okay.
But if I have an employee table, here, if one employee added today, one more row will get added and his detail will added here. If one employee left today, one more row will get deleted from here. So the number of rows and columns are changing here. Yes or no?
Yes.
So that is called dynamic table. So if someone tells you to write the XPath of the static table, so it is pretty simple. Let's say someone tells me to write the XPath for this. This is a static table. Someone tells me to write the XPath for this one. Sure, then it is pretty simple. What I can do, I can just do Control F. As I can come from here. See, this I cannot use visible text because Anil can tomorrow be Anil and Sunil because one more developer may add it, or may the developer let the company instead of Anil, it may be Sunil. So this value can change. This date can also change. This person can number also can change. So I cannot use the visible text here. So what I can do, I can just come from table, then I can identify this TD. So to identify the to write the XPath for this one, this web element, what I can do, simple, I can just do table @id is equal to version. Then tbody here. See why it is giving one of two now. See, I identify this one first. I identify this one because that is one T-body, that's okay. Now, when I giving TR, there are two TRs, right?
Two
So it is
TRs.
giving me one of two. But I want to identify which one. Identify this TD of second TR.
Yes.
So what I can do, I can give 2 here. So it will identify the second tier. Then, second tier I will give TD. Even if I give TD, there are 3 TD. But I am
Yes.
interested in the last one. So I will give
3.
3 here. So it will identify this. So it will take 1 of 1. Okay? Understood?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is pretty simple. When I'm writing for a static Xpath, just I'll use the table, T-body, TR, TD. It will always identify. Tomorrow, instead of Anil, it becomes Sunil. It doesn't matter. The value may change, but I'm not using the visual text here. So it doesn't matter for me. This TD and T-body will remain same because the number of rows and columns are remaining same. So when I'm writing an Xpath for static table, it is pretty simple. But let's say I'm writing an Xpath for this one. America. This one, which is present here. This one I'm writing. So if I write this XPath, let's say if I want to write XPath of this similar kind, which I use for static table, will it work? Let's check that. Employee. Okay, let's say I write it for John. Writing it for John. So what I'll do? ID employee. Okay. And or let's say I'm writing for team. Whichever I want, I can write. Let's say write for team. So T body, then I'm getting T of TD of 2. I'm interested in which tier? I'm interested in the third tier. So tier of 3. And I'm interested in team. So it will be TD of 2, second column.
Oh, yep.
TD of 2. So team. So I identified this. Now, this is, I wrote as like we wrote for what? Static table. Let's say tomorrow one more employee got added. Tomorrow, one more employee got added. So what will happen? One more row will be inserted now. One more row will be inserted. So now it will be, let's say, 346. Instead of John, it will be Anil. And the type of Australia, let's say it is UK. Now see, as it is a dynamic table, now it is identifying which one. This team it is identifying. This
Yep.
same XPath, when one new employee got added. When one new employee got added, the same XPath, now it is identifying John instead of team. Because the position
Yeah.
got changes. The position
Yes.
got changed. So I cannot use this XPath here. So in real time, what they will tell, in real time, they will tell you, write the let's say fetch the address. Fetch the address of the employee whose name is John. This scenario they will tell you in real time. Hence, they have to give one value that you write the XPath. You have to write a XPath to find the address of the employee whose name is John, or whose name is Anil, or whose name is Tom. So now what you have to do, you have to use that value, because now you know they're asking you to find the address of John. That means John is obviously present in the company. So I can use that John. So here what you have to do, you have to find this one. Means I have to find the address of John. That means first I have to use that value John. Using that I have to find the address. So how I'll do? So I have John now with me. Okay. Now I have John with me. So what I'll do? First I'll use that. TD text is equal to John. So I identify the John one. So now what I've told you, to go to the immediate parent, what I can do? I can use the keyword parent. Immediate parent is tier. From this tier, which column we have address? Third column. So I can come to TD 3. So now
Okay.
this will identify me the address of John. Instead of John, if I make it Tim, so this XPath will identify the address for Tim now. See, it is identifying for team. If I make it Anil, it will identify for Anil. So in real time, you need to have one value. For writing the dynamic XPath value, they'll give you one value that you write, identify the address of Tom, or you identify the employee ID of Anil. So using that, you have to go to that web element. Understood how I wrote it?
Yes.
So I identified that. I went to the parent and I came to the column which has the address. So this is one of the way in which I can write. What is the second way I can write?
Directly
The
you
sec
can identify America. Like,
No. America, how will identify? You have to find it out. You don't have it. How will identify? This is, I went to the parent, and from parent, I come to the column in which is present. Because column here, it is not changing. Here only the rows are changing. Column is not changing. So, column, it will always be third column where address is there.
yes.
Okay. So, this is of the one of the way. Or else what I can do, I identify team first. Then this is the following sibling. So, what I can do, I can use following sibling ed. So that way also I can identify. As it is sibling, I can use following sibling, or else I can go to the parent and from parent I can come to this. That also I can. So next time they give some other name, they're giving one name means it is already present in the organization. Just replace that name here. That's it. Rest all XPath will be same. That's it. Understood?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is how you'll be writing the XPath for static tables and dynamic tables. So this was all about your XPath writing.